So guys, many people have been bashing out at the Igbos, saying they are not taking advantage of the revelation made by IBB, saying that the coup that happened in 1966 wasn't an Igbo coup. That the Igbos are supposed to use this opportunity to make demands from the federal government. Any kind of demand they want to make, that this is the opportunity. But guess what? The Igbos are not making those demands. And if you can take a look, you know that most Igbo leaders have been very silent, not until recent, when we saw Juzo Kalu coming up to talk about the coup and, you know, the IBB revelation. Also, people like Senator Victor Ume has said that Gowon equally has to write his own book like IBB did. Even Abaribe has also said something like that. And now, Kenneth Okonkwo is here to share his own view about that revelation. We all know that after that coup, the aftermath of that coup was terrible. I mean, it was terrible. The Igbos experienced a whole lot of executions, you know, and that alone is something that the Igbos are not finding it easy to forgive and forget. We all know that that was the genesis of, you know, the Biafran war, because after that coup, the Igbos experienced a whole lot of marginalization that led to them, like, you know, coming up to say, no, enough is enough. We can't take it anymore. Let us secede. And as a result of that demand, you know, the Biafran war broke. So, and we saw that many other lives went down. So I'm just going to allow you to take a look at what Kenneth Okonkwo has got to say, and let me know your honest reaction in the comment section below. Take a look.
Well, let me congratulate IBB for putting pen to paper to tell Nigerians about his life history and the consequential things that happened along the line of his eventful life. I mean, he has had a very eventful life, and it was a good thing he put it to paper so that the next generation would learn from what he did or what he did not do. About 1966 Q, let me say that IBB was an eyewitness. And in law, the evidence of an eyewitness is admissible without more, because that's direct evidence from somebody who saw it, who heard it, who perceived it. So it was good that he put pen to paper on that particular episode. The central point of his submission is the total exoneration of the Igbo people as being the architects of that coup. And indeed, it couldn't ever have been the Igbo people. First and foremost, the Igbo people have their traditional leaders, political leaders, social-cultural leaders, religious leaders. Before you hang something on a people, you must prove that their leadership cadre was involved in the conspiracy, in the planning and execution of a change of government by force before you say it is done or was done by a people. In all the historical postulations about 1966 Q, there was no time they linked it to our leadership. All the people that participated in it were all military men, employed, trained by Nigeria as military men. So no matter their tribe, no matter their ethnicity, no matter their religion, this was purely a military coup, military action conducted by military men. If 1966 coup was a military coup, then 1983 coup, 1966 revenge coup, 1985 coup, they are all military coups. Why is it that we do not talk about the ethnicity or religion of all the people that carried out all these subsequent coups? Why do you say they are military coups? Because indeed they are military coups. So please, it is wrong to ascribe a military coup to a people, because the people are not part of the Nigerian army. So what happened in 1966 coup, first and foremost, was a military coup. Let's go into the nitty-gritty of the coup. What was the reason for the coup? The coup plotters adduced that it was to target the political class that has become corrupt and receives 10% from any contracts they issue out. 2, the intractable violence that followed the 1964-1965 election that was done in the Western region. You know, there was an acrimonious relationship between Akintola and Awolowo. And there was an allegation that the government, central government under Tafawa Balewa, rigged election in favor of Akintola, and it led to great violence in this Western region that became intractable. And then that was one of the reasons that the coup plotters struck. What was the aim of the coup? The aim of the coup was to bring Awolowo to become president. Don't take my words for it. Take the words of the Owa of Idoani. Major General Olufemi Olutayo retired. He was a major in 1964 when he met Major Kaduna Nzogu in India. This was his words. He said he asked Nzogu, who do you want to pick to lead the nation if you succeed in the coup? He said they want to pick a man who was more knowledgeable than they were, who had what it took to make Nigeria great. And that man was Awolowo. It is not surprising, because by independence, Major Kaduna Nzogu was from Western region. That was where he was from. And by 1966, he was from Midwestern region. And everybody know that it is in the Eastern region that you have predominant Igbos. So Major Kaduna Nzogu was born in Kaduna, raised in Kaduna, and IPOB said he was more Hausa than any other tribe. I give you an example. In Britain, there was a man whose name was Nigerian. He went into the street in a terrorist attack and used knife and hacked a law officer down. And Britain wanted initially to say, no, he's a Nigerian. Nigeria says, sorry. He was born in Britain. He has never even been to Nigeria. He was groomed, raised in Britain. So whatever about terrorism that concerns this particular person, he was not a Nigerian. Yes, we accept he has a Nigerian name, but he's British because he was born and raised there. Kaduna is an Hausa name. Major Kaduna Nzogu was born in the north, grew up in the north. Even when he was carrying out the coup, his personal physician, who was his doctor, was an Hausa man. He wouldn't trust you if you were not an Hausa man, because that is him for you. Babangida said he was as Hausa as any, spoke fluent Hausa. So by birth, a Northerner. By nurture, a Northerner. By political affiliation, a Westerner. And Babangida rightly pointed out that he was only Igbo in name. His ancestry, not even all his names. The first name Hausa. The ancestral name Nzogu was what was Igbo. Look at the people whose reason was not because of anything happening in Igbo land. The people who struck to make Awolowo a non-Igbo president. How does it have anything to do with Igbo? People have always said that part of the reason people suspected it was Igbo was because it did not happen in the Eastern region. This is where they got it wrong. The question is, why did it not happen in the Eastern region? One, Eastern region was not harboring the capital of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So if you're a coup plotter, the first place that you want to visit is the capital of the country. Because you don't have it, you're wasting your time. Who is that foolish coup plotter who will be risking his life in treasonable felony, chasing rats when the house is burning? So the center point of any coup is the capital of the country, which was located in Lagos. Secondly, there was no Igbo person in the political field that was occupying any command post that could have threatened the survival of the coup. Dr. Nnamdi Kanu was a ceremonial president, commanding nothing. Even if they had gotten Nnamdi Kanu, it wouldn't have been in the East, because as the president, he would have still been living in the West, as in the capital of the nation. Now, why again did it not happen in the Southeast? Because the main core of the elite military corps of the Nigerian army from Southeast origin, they were against the coup. Indeed, they were the ones that crushed the coup. Have you ever heard the name of any military officer from the North or West that fought to crush the coup? Babangida named them Major John Obienu, Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu. This is me now saying it because he was commanding a brigade or a battalion or thereabout in Kanu State. And then Major General, or as he then was, Brigadier General Johnson Thomas Omonakwe Aguyuronse, who was the highest military officer. These people crushed and quelled the coup. The Southeastern Military Corps did not support the coup. And I give you another point to tell you that Nzogu himself is not even versatile with the Southeast, with the Eastern region when the war started, because he didn't know his terrain very well. Almost the same week the war started, a marksman killed him in the Biafran side because he was fighting in a terrain not known to him. Major Ifeanyi Ifajuna, Major Emmanuel Ifajuna, another member of the coup, when the war started, wanted even to overthrow Ojukwu himself. He was executed in Biafra, telling you that those main people who are from Igbo origin, who participated in the coup, do not even have the agreement of the main elite military officer corps of the Southeast. They don't even trust them, because the aim of Ndi Igbo then was one Nigeria. That was why they were living in all parts of Nigeria. So they were embarrassed. Are the Igbo officers the only people in that queue? No. You had Major Adewale Ademoyega, Captain Ganiyu Adeleke, Lieutenant Fola Oyewole, and Lieutenant Olamifuno or something like that, by Babangida's account. Obasanjo also named more accounts, including Hausa officers. So let me tell you, what Babangida said was not even original from him. During the Oputa panel, the director of military intelligence then, one General Ibrahim Sabo, came out openly and said the only coup in Nigeria that had the national interest in the operation of the plotters was the 1966 coup conducted by Major Nzou. Ibrahim Sabo, that name does not sound Igbo to you. A Northerner, a Muslim Northerner. Major Hamza Al-Mustafa, the former CSO of Abacha, he came on a Oputa panel and made the same statement that the only coup that was motivated by national interest is Major Kaduna Nzou coup. Major Mustafa is not an Igbo man. There was one governor, Madaki. He was a governor. During military regime, as a matter of fact, during Babangida's regime, he came out openly and declared that the only coup in Nigeria that was conducted that had national interest was Major Nzougu's coup. Babangida told him to withdraw his statement at the risk of losing his commission, at the risk of losing being a governor. He said he stands by it. The reason Babangida was telling him to withdraw it is that Babangida himself came through coup. So if this officer is saying that the only one that had national interest, that means he's invariably referring that even his own had no national interest. Do you know what? That valiant officer maintained his stand and he was removed from the army. I still remember because he was a lawyer then. He went and put on his lawyer's gown and headed to the court and was willing to throw away the military rather than not saying the truth. So all these people, they were all eyewitnesses. They were all ear witnesses to what happened in 1966 coup. And they made it clear that it was not an Igbo coup. Now, look at the people that were killed. It was very, as Babangida described it, it was heinous. And that's why I don't like military incursion. Because of the possibility of shedding blood, including collateral damage. It was wrong. It was condemnable that these politicians, especially the ones that did not resist arrest, were killed. No, it was wrong. But do you know, the killing was all over Nigeria. Yes, it was a very terrible, bad thing to kill Ahmadu Bello, especially when he did not resist. Very terrible. Can't justify it. Tafawa Balewa was killed. We have some Yoruba officers that were killed. Those people were killed, they were killed because they were in line and could frustrate the coup. They were in line because they were perceived to be a threat to the revolution, not because of where they come from, not because of their ethnicity or religion. And this is my point to prove it. Lieutenant Colonel Ato Chinyelo Unebe was killed. They call him one of the most disciplined officers in Nigerian army, an Igbo man, the quartermaster general of Nigeria then. He was in charge of the ammunition, the weapons, the equipment, the logistics. And the coup plotters knew that he was a threat to the revolution. And they went to him. Major Chris Anuforo, an Igbo officer, went to him and killed him in front of the pregnant wife. And you're telling me, if it's an Igbo coup, then an Igbo man will pick up a gun and go to shoot this man in front of his pregnant wife. What happened to the north? Happened to the west? Happened to the east? It is just because those storytellers, with intention to malign Ndi Igbo and misconstrue facts, they now elevated everything, hid a lot of facts to make it appear as if it had anything to do with Ndi Igbo. Ndi Igbo, they were the most progressive then, most prosperous. They had in every sector of Nigeria, they were almost in charge. So why would they want to go and conduct a coup? Ndi Igbo suffered from the 1966 coup. Any Igbo man that was in line with anything that could frustrate the revolution, because that's what they called it, they killed him if they could. So it was a misnomer from the one to call it an Igbo coup, because the reason for the coup was not Igbo. The aim of the coup was not Igbo. The people that perpetrated the coup were military officers from all ethnic groups and from all tribes. And the people that were killed were all the people they could get to that are in line with being threats to the revolution, irrespective of their ethnicity, religion, creed, or place of origin. So Babangida did the right thing for exonerating Ndi Igbo. And henceforth, because I have been saying it in my own interview all this while, that Ndi Igbo has nothing to do with the coup. If an Igbo man is a military man, he becomes a military man. He becomes an officer of the Nigerian military, not an Igbo man. Whatever he's doing it in the name of being an officer of the army. Just like in 1983, the military took over. Nobody said it was an Hausa coup. Even when a Fulani was made the head of state, nobody said it was a Fulani coup. They said the military has taken over. Buhari came into power. 1985, Babangida came into power. Northerner from Nupe. Nobody said it was a Nupe coup. Then it continued. So please, whatever happens by the military should be described for what it is. Military coup. For me, it's not an Hausa coup. It's not a Yoruba coup. It's not an Igbo coup. It is a military coup. And that is how it should be described. Henceforth, it will be defamatory. Henceforth, for anybody to attribute that coup again to Ndi Igbo. And for the sake of the unity of this country, especially for us that believe that Nigeria is a better place for all of us, we must learn to allow old hostilities to depart with old age and allow new breath of fresh air to permeate the beautiful environment of Nigeria. There are no Igbos, there are no Hausas, there are no Yorubas. All of us form the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So there are Igbos, there are Yorubas, there are Hausas, there are Fulanis, there are Ibios, all of us form the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So whatever is your tribe, you're not in competition with Nigeria. You are part of Nigeria. So let us do things that will make us leave better legacy for our children and live in a better place. 1966, I repeat, was a military coup. It could never have been an Igbo coup.
What's your opinion about the June 12th amendment?
Well, I was an eyewitness in June 12th. I saw it there. And so when I'm talking now, I'm talking as an eyewitness. 1966, somebody can say, and that was why I quoted all the people that said the things they said in 1966. But in June 12th, I was an eyewitness. So whatever I say now, I stand by it. First of all, June 12th would have been one of the best things that would have happened to Nigeria, because it was a day Nigerians went out to vote for a president in the freest, fairest election, where a man who contested the election, MKO Abiola, won fair and square. That suddenly, what would have been the best suddenly turned to become the worst, because for no reason known to common sense, for no reason known to any reasonable person, the election was annulled by Babangida, and Babangida alone, and unleashed the unrest on the country and Nigerian people. Now, let's talk about the transition program of Babangida. Immediately, Babangida overthrew Buhari on August 27, 1985. He promised from that same day that he was going to hand over power to a democratically elected government by 1990. Along the line, he set up a political bureau that advised him on what to do. And within the time, summarily, let me just move summarily. When it was getting to 1990, Babangida decided that he was going to experiment with diarchy. In other words, a system of government where the civilians will be elected and the military will also be in power. And he used that opportunity to extend his transition from 1990 to 1992. Babangida did not blame anybody that the person was responsible for the extension, because being a military head of state, his word was law. He ruled by decrees. And you know what? Babangida said, I dominate my environment with the power of firearms. So he was in charge and he was in power. Babangida had been a professional coup plotter, so he knows everything about coup plotting. And everybody knows that you make a mistake, you're gone. You recall that his best man in his wedding, Mama Mfasa, he tied him on the stake for rumors of coup and shot him. So no military junior of IBB ever in his front took him for granted, because they know the consequences. When the Oka people did the coup, he shot all of them. Even when there was a court martial that exonerated some of them and said they will not face death penalty, IBB constituted another court martial that retried those people and decided to kill all of them. It was Major General Ike Nwachukwu that was the head of the first court martial that condemned the first set of people and exonerated the rest. But IBB set up another one, and they had to kill the others. So you can imagine such a man. And then he will say something, and you're telling me that another person influenced him to change his mind. No. So he shifted it from 1990. All other elections of the lower level, they were being held. But when it comes to the one of the presidency, it will be shifted. So from 1990, we shifted the presidential election to 1992. In 1992, before then, IBB decided that he was not satisfied with all the political parties that the politicians set up for themselves. He decided to set up the political parties for the politicians. So IBB set up National Republican Convention and set up Social Democratic Party and told politicians to join in. He wrote their constitutions for them, wrote their manifestos, and he was in charge of all the security apparatus. So IBB owned the transition. So how can you own the transition? He built the secretariats for the parties in all the 700, in all the local governments of Nigeria. They were not up to 700 then. He built all the secretariats for them. So you as a politician, you don't have any say. So whatever IBB said was what was done, 100%. Even the house you were staying as your secretariat was not your own. So SDP, NRC went into election, primary election in 1992. IBB said it was rigged. There was electoral malpractices, this and that. In fairness, I witnessed it. Being honest, that primary election was difficult for anybody to say it was free and fair. But that was internal affairs of the political party. And the politicians helped to say you should be cancelled. Of course, IBB jumped at it and cancelled it. Not once, but twice. By that time, people have already concluded that this man does not want to leave power. He cancelled those things, not because they were rigged. Because in my own opinion, that primary that was done, which eventually was won by Shehu Musa Yar'Adua and Adamu Cheruma. Shehu Musa Yar'Adua of the SDP, Adamu Cheruma of the NRC. It was really mad by rigging. So IBB cancelled them. But he did not cancel them because they were mad by rigging. He cancelled them because he saw an opportunity not to leave power. And each time he cancels an election, he gives himself about 1 year more or 2 years. Remember, he shifted from 1990 to 1992. So when he cancelled the election in 1992, the primary election, he now shifted the presidential election to 1993. That was how we came to June 12. Why did I say the primary election that he cancelled, even though there was rigging? Why did I say it was not because of rigging? Why I said it was that when June 12 now came, the primary elections of MKO and Tofa, because they were the ones who emerged, was peaceful, without incident. And IBB said he's surprised. Now, immediately it was peaceful. IBB started becoming agitated. And then we started seeing associations springing up from anywhere saying IBB must rule forever. One of it was Association for Better Nigeria, headed by Atom Zeribe. This was an IBB who said it was.
So guys, you have seen it for yourself. What we are trying to say is that the Igbos deserve some level of justice. Honestly, the Igbos have suffered a lot in this country. We cannot sweep that under the carpet. It is clear to everybody. Shore has even come out to say that there is like a plan by the federal government that any government that comes in place must oppress the Igbos. Don't allow them to breathe. Don't allow them to breathe. That's just the strategy. Don't allow the Igbos to breathe. And that is what we are seeing them doing. Honestly, I think it's time for us to end all this maltreatment on the Igbos. Let's consider the fact that many Igbos have been quiet. No matter how you try to suppress the people, you cannot suppress the people that God has approved. That's what this federal government has to understand. They just want to suppress the Igbos for what? You cannot suppress the Igbos because God is with us. Honestly, God is with us. So you can imagine all that the Igbos went through after this coup. They've gone through a lot, you know. The Igbos have gone through a lot. You can imagine what the Igbos have gone through. And still, you know, they are wasking strong. They are wasking strong. So when you look at it, you get to know that so many lives have been died. So many lives. So many people were caught up in all this. Just because of hatred for a tribe. And we are still on it. As in, things are not getting better. Things are not getting better. And Nigerians deserve to know. Honestly, Nigerians deserve to know. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell. Please give this video a like so that YouTube can recommend it to others. And drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you.